Hello, welcome to a project video on my channel. I know it's been a while since I've done a full-on project, but we're gonna do one today, and the reason we're doing it is because I was in Hobby Lobby and I saw these paper bags, and I really liked making paper bag albums. I like the feel of the paper bag. I like the way that makes the base page for you essentially, but it's just easy and I just like it. But I wasn't really fond of the paper bags with the gussets. I never really 100% liked them. But I found these and I love them. They're flat, there's no gusset, they are perfect for a tag, and they're perfect for a mini album. So we're gonna go ahead and make them. These, and they're a really good price. These were $1.99. And usually you can get the Paper Studio stuff for 50% off. Not usually, I'm sorry, but every once in a while they have the Paper Studio. All Paper Studio stuff is 50% off at Hobby Lobby. So that would make these an even better deal. But anyways, these are the size that we're going to use, 4x6. However, you can also get them in a 5.5 by 7 3/4 size. And I like that too. I got those ones. And because I wasn't buying anything else that wasn't on sale, I just used my 40% coupon on that. But we're going to start off with the mini ones today. And the reason we're going to do that is because I can get the most out of my paper pad, or my paper collection that I purchased. I also purchased this at Hobby Lobby today because they were 50% off. All paper pads and paper packs were 50% off. And I love when they have that sale because I usually will get one or two of these little collections. And they had some new ones, which I've been waiting for them to get some new ones in for a while, and so I really like this one. So I purchased it, and it was only $4.99 because it was originally $9.99. So that's good, and I'm going to be able to get 2 of these mini albums out of it because all I did, there was 2 of each sheet of paper. I just cut them, or I took half of them and put them back in the package, and I kept the other half out, and then I cut them down to 6 by 12, and then that way, if I need, excuse me, if I need more than one, I could maybe even get 4. I don't know if I will need the second set, but if I do, I can use the back sides, and then I can use the same set. Anyways, you'll see what I mean. So let's go ahead and get started. Try not to waste too much time, but I always do. Let's start with putting together the pages into our book, or into a book form. We're going to start with our paper hinges, which are 4 by 1.5, and we're going to score them at, I think I'm going to score them at, let's score them at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, no, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5/8, and I can't decide if I want to give it a 1/4 of an inch gusset or an 1/8 of an inch. I think we'll go for a 1/4 of an inch gusset, because why not? Then I can add some flowers if I want to. So we're going to score this at 5/8 and 7/8. And we're going to score 6 of them. 5/8, 7/8. 5/8, 7/8. And unlike most of my projects, I did a little bit of prep work. I pre-cut some of the pages, but I didn't do a lot of prep work, and I'm sorry, but I wanted to just get started on the video. So you're going to have to watch me do a lot of scoring. And I'm sorry, but you do have the ability to skip ahead. Just pull the little slider ahead and you can watch the parts that you want to watch. I have kind of a mixed number of people who send me emails or messages saying that they don't like my long videos because they're too long, they're too informative, and I talk too much. But then I also have the same amount of people who text me and tell me, or message me and tell me that they love my detailed videos, that they love that I show all of the steps, And since I like showing all of the steps, that's how I'm going to film my video. So, like I said, if you don't like that part, just go ahead and use the little slider and pull it forward and skip parts here and there, you know. What you already know how to do, skip it. So, let's put these together. I'll take our first page and let's score these up. Okay. All right. Let's just fold them all while we're at it. It'll be easier. When I do an album, I like to do them in kind of a assembly line fashion. I kind of like to do all of the steps at once. So if I'm making them and I'm not doing a video, I generally will do all of the trimming, and then I will do all of the scoring, and then I will do all of the putting together, and then I will do the decorating as I go. Just because that's kind of how I like to put together my videos. Okay, we're going to stick some tape here. I prefer my tape to be there. Hold on one second here. I have recently discovered that it is far easier to just rip this tape than it is to pick up the scissors every time you want to cut it. Okay, and normally I would use my ATG tape if I'm making a video, but I have not made this album before, and I do intend to use it. A lot of times when I make a video, I don't intend to use the album that I am making. I'm just making it because I've already made one, and that was the one that I used as the gift or whatever I was making it for. The video one tends to get forgotten, put on a shelf and forgotten, because a lot of times I don't even decorate them. But this one, I intend to go all the way through because I want to make this as a gift. And hopefully, I would like to finish it today. All I'm doing here is going around and putting my adhesive by the score mark, kind of up by the score mark, because I want to have it close to the edge of the book, just because that's how I like to do it. You can put it really however you want. I feel like this helps hold it a little bit better. Also, with this tape, as opposed to my ATG, I feel like it's going to stay together a little bit better, too. Okay. There we go. I'm going to start off with just one of our hinges. And I folded it so that the spine is on the inside here. Okay. And it seems to be that I miscalculated on the size just a little bit, so I don't want it overhanging. Just gonna remove a little bit of that, and there we go. So that's the front. This is gonna be the first page, so this is gonna be the part that attaches to the cover. Then I'm gonna turn it over. I'm gonna put a piece here. Okay, just lining my edge right up with the edge of my book. Press it down really well, and then let's remove the excess. Whoops. Hopefully I won't have to do that on all of them, but I'm thinking that I might now. Okay, then we got that. Let's take this. Let's You know what? I'm just going to leave it in the folded position. I think it will be easier. And I'm going to attach this one. I like to make sure that it's lined up on the sides, because sometimes the bottoms of these paper bags are not straight. So I try to use the top and bottom of the paper bags instead of, I'm sorry, the sides and not the top or bottom, if that makes any sense. Okay, let's go ahead and do another hinge. I'm going to fold this hinge down and attach this right to the edge. Stick it down. And this time we just have a little bit to trim off, but I just want it to look neat. So I'm going to go ahead and trim it off. Okay, then we're going to pull this up. Take another page. Put it right on there. Make sure it lines up top to bottom or sides again. Also, make sure that it doesn't go over your score mark. That's important too. Good pressure. And take another hinge. We're going to line this up right with the edge of the paper bag again. Trim it down a little bit. And then let's attach this bag. Okay. So I was wrong. You're going to need 7 hinges, because you need one to attach the front and back covers as well. Okay, so far we've got 4 pages together. Let's put on this hinge. And stick it on there. Perfect. Then cut that off. Attach our last bag. Okay. There we go. Now you can see we've got all of our pages. We need to put just one more hinge, just real quick. Okay. Score. Score. And put a little adhesive on. And okay. Then I'm just going to take our last hinge and attach it to the back of the last page. We're going to leave the backing on there. And then, so you can see we have essentially our page. What I want to do now is I don't cut out my spine until I put my book together, and that's because I don't know what size my spine is going to end up being. So now I need to measure my spine. And this one is going to be 1 3/4. So let's start on the covers then. To start us off, I have already cut the covers, the front and back covers. This one is 4 1/4 by, I need my longer ruler, because for some reason I did not write down the measurements of this. So this is 4 1/4 by 6 3/4. Now here's the thing, I did give myself quite a bit of space on this end. You don't really need to give yourself that much if you don't want to. We'll see if I end up, I might want to, let's see, which size did I say this was? I might end up cutting a little off. Let's cut it down to 6 1/2. I think that'll be good. I'm going to go ahead and make a little pencil mark. I think that, nope. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to leave it like that. So it's 6 3/4. And I forgot what size my spine was. This is going to be 1 3/4. So this is 6 3/4 by 4 1/4. And my spine is going to be 4 1/4, which I've already cut it to, by 1 3/4. There we go. Beautiful. I like that. All right. Now, let's cover. So here is our book. I'm going to need, I'm going to use my bigger roll of tape, and I need a piece of, I need 2 pieces. If this is 4 1/4, I'm going to cut it to 5 1/4. So then I'm going to have an inch on both the top and the bottom. 5 1/4. Okay. And then the first thing I'm going to do is attach these two together. And I don't really, just going to use my ATG to do this part. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I am going to cover it with paper, so it doesn't really, this part, it's going to hold it enough to once I put the paper on it, it's going to be just fine. And besides that, I do think that my ATG gun holds really well anyways. Okay, so then we're going to start off by this, I always put my center, my seam on my spine. I don't know why, I just always do. I think it looks better. I think it just looks a little bit nicer. Okay. So I'm just going to put some adhesive there. And then, what the heck, let's just do one more. Okay. Then let's go around. And this is not really chipboard. It is recycled cardboard box. You can see in there, maybe you can see, yep, it's corrugated. It's thin. It's thin enough that it's not too thick, so it will work for this book. But I just wanted to use something that was a little, well, number one, I don't have any chipboard and I haven't ordered any yet. I didn't really want to. As long as I can try to use what I have, there's no point in trying to order something if I don't need it. Okay. And then I'm just going to use my ATG. Put an X there. And there. Then let's do the same thing to this piece. It's important that you put your tape all the way around because you want this to stick really well. Your covers of your albums are really the parts that are the most used and touched and messed with. So it's important that you make sure that you have a really good stick. Okay, fine. All right, I'm gonna put, this part isn't necessary, it's just excessive for me. Okay. Alright, stick this guy right about in the center. That looks good. I'm happy with that. So then we're going to take this piece, take off the backing, and we're going to give ourselves enough space here. Excuse me. That was a big sneeze. And give yourself enough space here so that we'll be able to fold this over without the paper cracking. Stick it down really well. And then same thing for the other side. Okay. I just kind of eyeball it, make sure that I have about the same size gap on both sides. Okay, let's turn it over and burnish it really well. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to remove approximately that much. Like so. Okay. And there we have it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run my bone folder or my scoring tool along all of the edges. That's going to help us break down the fibers in the paper so that when we go to fold it up, it'll fold up nicer. And then let's remove our corners. Like so. Okay. And then let's apply our adhesive. I'm going to go all the way around the outside edges. And I do like to put the adhesive on the chipboard instead of on the paper. I don't know why I do that, I just do. And then on the edge. And then I also make sure that I put it on all of the edges inside the book as well. I'm going to put it on the edge next to the gap and on both sides. So on the spine, and then I really like to ensure that the spine is adhered really well, so I almost cover it completely. There we go. And the last little part, just put some right here, and we're good to go. Okay, now I'm just gonna kind of use the table underneath me to just kind of fold up all of those edges. Okay, and take off the adhesive. I like to do the two long sides first, because to me they are the most complicated, I guess. I'm going to fold it over and make sure that it's nice and tight. That gives me a nice tight edge. And you can see here that I used tape that was a little too big. That's okay, because it's all going to be covered. Then I take the edge of my bone folder and I just go along the top edge, because that gives me a nice squared off edge instead of a rounded edge to my paper. And I believe that the squared off edge just looks a little bit nicer, but really it's just a matter of opinion. Okay, then I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm going to push in these corners on both sides. Then I'm going to remove that, and I'm going to do what I did before, and I'm just going to roll it over on itself. Use my bone folder, press it down really well, then square off that edge. Okay. Same thing on this side. Pull it up, and then I'm going to roll it over again. Then turn it over, use my bone folder, and then square off the edges. And there we have a very lovely book. You may or may not need to work your corners a little bit. I sort of just run my bone folder along them so that they look a little bit nicer, but it's not going to matter in the end. I also like to use my bone folder to press down the inside parts. Okay. Now we have, this is the part where I realized that I messed up. I do not need, well, we're going to go ahead and use it anyways. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and pull up my center. And you'll notice that I'm not putting adhesive on here, and that's because it's all on here. But I am going to take my tape runner, and I'm just going to fill in the little bit that was not covered. And then I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to lay it on here, sort of centered. Okay, sorry, I didn't talk you through that. It's really required a lot of my concentration, apparently. So all I did was I centered it on there really, really well. And then made sure that my that it fit on there like it was supposed to. And then I'm just gonna make sure that those fold up like they're supposed to. And then I'm gonna turn all of the pages, and you'll notice that right now they're stiff, and the parts that are that have the hinges are a little stiff, but that's okay because as you work it, it's gonna fold. And it's also because the rest of the pages, because it's made with a paper bag, it's going to be kind of flimsy right off the bat. But as we put our pattern paper onto it and our pockets and our flaps and everything that we're going to add to it, it's going to stiffen up and work like a charm. Okay, just going to ensure that we have a nice good contact there. Okay, and we do. And then turn it over. This is the front of our book. This is our book made so far. Okay. Next comes the fun part. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that in a second video. Okay. So I hope that you will all come back and watch the second video. I will post them both about the same time. If the second video isn't up when you finished watching this one, it should be up very shortly. Okay. All right. That's all for now. Bye-bye.